Lieutenant Jack Morrison woke up to the sound of alarms. The red emergency lights pulsed across the walls of his small cabin on the patrol ship Guardian. He jumped out of bed, his heart racing. "What's happening?" he called out as he rushed to put on his uniform. The ship's AI responded in a calm voice. "Multiple distress signals detected from human colonies. Kralaxian warships have crossed into human space. This is not a drill." Jack froze for a moment. The Kralaxians were a species from the Outer Rim, known for their aggressive expansion, but never before had they attacked humans. Humanity had maintained peace with all galactic species for over 500 years. "Show me," Jack said as he finished, dressing and hurried to the bridge. The main screen displayed 3 human colony worlds simultaneously under attack. Harmony Colony, the closest to their position, showed the most disturbing images. Massive ships hung in orbit, firing energy weapons at the surface. The colony's small defense platforms were already destroyed. "Captain Rogers," Jack said as he took his station next to his commanding officer. "Orders?" Captain Ben Rogers stood rigid, his face pale as he watched the attack unfold. "We are the closest EDF vessel to Harmony. We have no choice but to respond, even though we're outgunned." "Sir, we're receiving a strange signal from Earth Command," said Communications Officer Kelly Duncan. It's being sent on channels that haven't been used in centuries." The captain frowned. "Put it through." The message was short and cryptic. "Protocol Lazarus initiated. The sleepers awaken. All EDF personnel prepare for physiological changes. Trust your instincts." Before anyone could ask what it meant, Jack felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. His vision sharpened suddenly, colors becoming more vivid. His hearing grew more acute. He could hear the heartbeats of his crewmates around him. "Is anyone else feeling different?" he asked, looking at his hands, which seemed stronger somehow. Around the bridge, other crew members were experiencing similar changes. Kelly gasped as she accidentally crushed her communication console with a grip that should have been impossible for her small frame. "What's happening to us?" someone whispered. The captain's eyes widened as he accessed old files suddenly available to him. "According to this, we're remembering." The Guardian accelerated toward Harmony Colony at speeds the small patrol ship shouldn't have been capable of. Jack found himself making calculations and tactical assessments with ease, knowledge he had never learned flowing through his mind. On Earth, at the United Defense Forces headquarters, Commander Susan Hayes was escorted through security checkpoints deeper underground than she'd ever been. As a military historian, she had studied ancient wars but never expected to be summoned to the legendary Deep Pentagon during a crisis. "We need your expertise on certain texts," General Frank Miller told her as they entered a dust-covered room, filled with actual paper books and stone tablets. Specifically references to humans as the sleeping ones. Susan's eyes widened. "Those are just myths. Warnings found in alien ruins about never waking the warriors of Sol. No serious historian believes." She stopped as her own body suddenly felt different, stronger, more alert. Knowledge she had never learned was suddenly accessible in her mind. "It's happening to you too," the general said. "It's happening to all of us." He showed her ancient security footage of humans performing impossible combat maneuvers against alien invaders. The timestamp showed a date over 5,000 years old. "We weren't always peaceful traders," he explained. "We were warriors engineered for battle by a species long extinct. After the Great War that nearly destroyed the galaxy, our ancestors chose to lock away those abilities, to become peaceful. They built in a failsafe. An existential threat to our species would reawaken what was hidden in our DNA." On Harmony Colony, schoolteacher Lisa Rodriguez hid in the basement of her classroom with 20 terrified children. Above them, they could hear the sounds of Kralaxian ground forces moving through the streets. The alien invaders had landed shortly after destroying the colony's minimal defenses. "Stay quiet," she whispered to the children, but inside her mind was changing. Strategic assessments formed without her conscious thought. She suddenly knew exactly how to defend this position, how to turn classroom supplies into weapons. When the basement door crashed open and two Kralaxian soldiers appeared, Lisa moved with impossible speed. She disarmed the first alien before it could fire, using its weapon to eliminate the second. The movements came naturally, as if she had trained for combat her entire life. "Ms. Rodriguez," one of the children whispered in awe. "Stay here," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I need to secure the building." Across the colony, other humans were experiencing similar transformations. Farmers became snipers, office workers organized defense squads, and medical staff performed combat surgeries they had never been trained for. By the time the Guardian arrived in orbit around Harmony, the situation had already shifted. The Kralaxian forces, expecting easy conquest against the peaceful humans, found themselves engaged in increasingly difficult ground combat. "Captain," Jack reported from his tactical station on the bridge, "the colonists are fighting back. Effectively." "Impossible," Captain Rogers said. "Harmony has no military presence. Sir, request permission to lead a ground team. The colonists need coordination." The captain studied Jack's face, seeing the changes there, the heightened alertness, the confidence that hadn't been there before. "Granted, but be careful, Lieutenant. We don't fully understand what's happening to us." Jack led a team of 5 crew members to the surface in a shuttle. As they descended, he could see the fighting across the colony's main settlement. Kralaxians were retreating from several areas where humans had organized resistance. When they landed, Jack's team was met by Lisa Rodriguez, now carrying salvaged Kralaxian weapons and leading a group of colonists who moved with military precision. "Lieutenant," she greeted him. "Glad to see the EDF finally arrived, though we've started without you." "How are you doing this?" Jack asked. "How are any of you fighting like this?" Lisa's eyes showed the same awareness he now felt. "I don't know. I was hiding with my students, terrified, and then I just knew what to do, like I'd been a soldier my whole life." A communication came through from Earth on Jack's portable unit. It was Commander Hayes, her face serious on the small screen. "Lieutenant, Morris and I've been asked to brief all EDF personnel. What's happening has been expected by some, feared by others. Humanity has a secret past, one we chose to forget. The Kralaxians didn't just attack us, they woke us up." "Woke what up?" Jack asked. Susan's expression was grim. "Our true nature, the genetic memory of what humans really are, the most effective warriors the galaxy has ever known. And now that the temple door has been kicked open, I'm not sure we can go back to sleep." An explosion rocked a nearby building as a Kralaxian dropship crashed to the ground. Jack looked up to see the Guardian, their small patrol vessel, successfully engaging much larger enemy ships. "They had no idea what they were doing when they attacked us," Lisa said quietly. Jack nodded as more knowledge unlocked in his mind. Battle, strategies, weapons systems, and the history of a species that had once been feared across the stars. "No," he agreed. "They had no idea they were waking war deities." Dr. Alan West brushed the red Martian dust from his hands as he stared at the newly uncovered entrance. For 3 years, his team had been excavating this site based on unusual energy readings, but today's discovery exceeded all expectations. The door was clearly not of human design, its surface covered in symbols that matched no known language. "Are you recording this, Sam?" Alan asked his research assistant. Sam nodded, his camera drone hovering steadily over the entrance. "Every second of it." "But Dr. West, should we really be opening this now? With everything happening in the colonies?" News of the Kralaxian attacks had reached Mars 2 days ago, along with strange reports of humans displaying unusual abilities. Even here, some of the research team had experienced unexplained physical changes. "That's exactly why we need to open it," Alan said as he pressed his palm against the ancient scanner beside the door. He had no logical reason to believe it would respond to him, but something inside told him it would. The door recognized his touch immediately. Lights flickered along its frame, and with a hiss of escaping air, it slid open for the first time in thousands of years. "How did you know that would work?" Sam whispered. Alan stared at his hand. "I didn't." The chamber beyond was vast and filled, with technology far beyond current human understanding. At its center stood a holographic projection device that activated as they entered. Images of humans in ancient battle armor appeared, fighting alongside and against various alien species, in conflicts across the stars. It's an archive, Alan realized as knowledge flooded his mind. A record of who we were. The hologram shifted to show humans being genetically modified by an older alien race. The modifications enhanced strength, speed, healing, and combat instincts. The humans became perfect warriors, unmatched across the galaxy. We were made this way, Alan said quietly, engineered for war by the precursors. Meanwhile, on Harmony Colony, Jack Morrison walked through the ruins of what had been the colony's main square. The Kralaxians had been driven back to their ships, which now hovered at a safe distance in orbit. 3 days of intense fighting had transformed the peaceful farming colony into a fortress. Lisa Rodriguez approached him, carrying a modified alien weapon that she handled with unexpected expertise. The northern sector is secure. We've set up defensive positions like you suggested. Good work, Jack said. He still found it strange to see a school teacher leading combat operations as if she'd done it her whole life. Any word from Earth Command? Nothing new, Lisa replied. But we intercepted Kralaxian communications. They're confused and requesting reinforcements. They don't understand how we're fighting back so effectively. Jack looked up at the sky where his patrol ship Guardian now led a small fleet of repurposed civilian vessels, all crewed by colonists who somehow knew exactly how to operate them as warships. None of us understand it, he admitted. But I'm grateful. On Earth, Commander Susan Hayes stood in a hastily assembled war room as military leaders from around the world gathered. Screens displayed tactical information from all human colonies, under attack. Despite being outgunned and outnumbered, humanity was holding its ground. The transformation is progressing faster than we anticipated, General Miller said, addressing the room. Civilian populations are showing combat capabilities that match or exceed our best-trained special forces. But why now? Asked Admiral Paula Carter. And why didn't we know about this hidden potential? Susan stepped forward. We did know, or at least our ancestors did. She displayed images of ancient texts and artifacts. These warnings about the sleeping ones weren't referring to some other alien species. They were talking about us. She showed them newly declassified files that had unlocked themselves when the Kralaxian attack began. According to these records, after a devastating galactic war, humanity chose to lock away its warrior genetics. We used technology from the precursors to suppress our combat abilities and natural aggression. We chose peace, and over time, we forgot what we had been. But the lockdown included a failsafe, she continued. An existential threat to our species would trigger a reawakening. The Kralaxian attack activated dormant genetic code in every human, returning abilities our ancestors engineered out of us. Captain Olivia Clark's evacuation fleet arrived at Harmony Colony expecting to find devastation. Instead, she found resistance. Her ships entered orbit alongside the Guardian, which had somehow survived battles it should have lost. Lieutenant Morrison, she called over the communication channel. Earth Command sent us to evacuate survivors. What's the situation? Jack's face appeared on her screen. The situation has changed, Captain. The colonists are refusing evacuation. They've repelled the initial Kralaxian force and are preparing for the next wave. Olivia frowned. Refusing evacuation? These are farmers and teachers. How could they possibly? You haven't experienced it yet, have you? Jack interrupted. The change. Before she could answer, Olivia felt a sudden warmth flow through her body. Her vision sharpened, and tactical information about the surrounding space seemed to appear in her mind without the help of instruments. What's happening to me? She whispered. The same thing that's happening to all of us, Jack replied. We're remembering what we were designed to be. On the colony surface, Jack took Olivia to meet with the Colonial Defense Council, now led by Lisa Rodriguez. What had been a community center was transformed into a military command post. People who days ago had been tending crops or teaching children now moved with the disciplined efficiency of veteran soldiers. We're not leaving our home, Lisa told Olivia firmly. We can defend it now. How are you organizing all this? Olivia asked. amazed at the tactical displays and weapons modifications that should have been beyond civilian knowledge. Lisa smiled slightly. I wish I could explain it. The knowledge is just there. Like I've always known it but couldn't access it until now. Dr. Alan West's voice came through on an emergency channel from Mars. His face looked both excited and troubled on the communication screen. I've found something everyone needs to see, he said. A sealed chamber beneath the Martian surface. It contains records of our true history. He shared images of the ancient archives, showing humans leading galactic armies developing weapons that could destroy stars, and eventually choosing to seal away their warrior nature. We were too dangerous, Alan explained. After winning, a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy, our ancestors chose to become peaceful. They used precursor technology to lock away the genetic modifications that made us living weapons. The records are clear about one thing, he continued. The lockdown was designed with a failsafe. Under conditions of existential threat, the dormant warrior genes would reactivate to ensure species survival. So the Kralaxians attacking our colonies, Jack began, triggered our awakening, Alan finished. But the archives warn that once awakened, it may be impossible to go back to what we were before. On the edge of human space, a massive Kralaxian fleet gathered. The initial attack force had returned with alarming reports of humans transforming into unstoppable warriors. The Kralaxian High Command, not understanding what they had provoked, prepared to launch a full-scale invasion to crush the human resistance once and for all. They had no idea they were about to face an enemy. Their oldest legends had warned them, never to disturb. The war deities who had once ruled the stars with unmatched military might. And on Earth, military leaders debated whether to try suppressing humanity's awakening or embracing their changing nature as their only hope for survival against the coming storm. 3 weeks after the initial attacks, Jack Morrison stood on a makeshift observation deck above Harmony Colony. The changes in him had deepened. His muscles were denser, his reflexes faster, and his mind processed combat situations with incredible speed. But the changes went beyond the physical. He could sense the positions of his fighters across the battlefield, almost like a shared awareness. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, Lisa said as she joined him. She too had changed. The school teacher was gone, replaced by a confident military commander who had organized the colony's defense with remarkable skill. Jack activated the communication screen. Commander Susan Hayes appeared, her face serious. Lieutenant Morrison, the Kralaxians are moving again. Long-range sensors show a much larger fleet heading toward human space. Their main force will reach Harmony Colony in approximately 2 days. We'll be ready, Jack said with a confidence that would have surprised his former self. Earth has established the Awakened Command, Susan continued. I've been appointed as strategic advisor. We're studying the ancient military tactics that are resurfacing in human consciousness. What about the physical changes? Lisa asked. They're accelerating. Susan nodded. Dr. Nathan Powell is leading a research team on Earth studying the biological aspects. He's reporting that humans aren't just becoming better fighters. We're becoming living weapons with abilities specifically designed to counter alien threats. After the call ended, Jack and Lisa toured the colony's defenses. Former farmers had built impressive fortifications. People who had never held weapons before now modified alien technology with expert precision. Children practiced combat movements with perfect form. Sometimes I miss who we were before, Lisa admitted quietly. Jack understood. The peaceful life they had known was slipping away, replaced by something older and more dangerous. We didn't choose this awakening, but we need it to survive. On Earth, Dr. Nathan Powell studied cellular samples from recently awakened humans. The changes were fascinating and terrifying. Human DNA was reorganizing itself, activating dormant sequences that had been hidden for millennia. The transformation is more targeted than we initially thought, he explained to the Awakened Command. Each person is developing abilities that complement their natural talents. Pilots are gaining enhanced spatial awareness. Engineers are developing intuitive understanding of alien technology. Medics are manifesting accelerated healing abilities they can extend to others. General Miller leaned forward. Are you saying the genetic modifications are adapting to our needs? Exactly, Nathan replied. The precursors engineered humans to be the perfect adaptive combat species. We're not just becoming stronger. We're becoming exactly what we need to be to win this specific conflict. In space, Captain Olivia Clark commanded a growing fleet of human ships. Some were military vessels, but many were civilian ships modified for combat by crews who somehow knew exactly how to transform them into effective warships. The Kralaxian fleet has been spotted at the edge of the Epsilon system, her tactical officer reported. They'll be in striking range of Harmony Colony in 40 hours. Olivia felt no fear, only a calm certainty. The knowledge flowing through her mind showed her exactly how to position her ships for maximum effectiveness against the Kralaxian formation. Have Lieutenant Morrison's ground forces reported readiness? She asked. Yes, Captain. They've prepared some surprises for any ground forces that make it past our fleet. Olivia smiled slightly. 3 weeks ago, the thought of fighting a superior alien force would have terrified her. Now, it felt like returning to something familiar. Then let them come. On Harmony Colony, Jack led a final inspection of their defenses. Lisa walked beside him, checking weapon emplacements manned by colonists who moved with military precision. I can operate their technology, Lisa told him, demonstrating how she had modified captured Kralaxian weapons to be more effective. I can see how it works in my mind. It's like I've studied it for years. Jack had seen similar abilities emerging throughout the colony. Humans weren't just fighting better. They were adapting to the specific threat they faced. It was as if the dormant warrior genetics included the ability to understand and counter any enemy. Dr. West sent new information from the Mars archives, Jack said. The precursors didn't just make us warriors. They made us the ultimate adaptive species. Our abilities are tailored to counter specific threats. Lisa looked troubled. What happens when this war ends? Do we go back to sleep? Can we? Jack had no answer. The ancient knowledge flowing through his mind showed him strategies and tactics, but offered no guidance for returning to peace. In deep space, the Kralaxian warfleet approached human territory. On the command ship, Admiral Vexcar reviewed the reports from the initial attacks with growing concern. These cannot be the same humans we studied, he growled. Our intelligence showed a peaceful species with minimal military capability. His second-in-command shifted nervously. The reconnaissance teams report humans displaying fighting abilities far beyond their known capabilities. Some even suggest we've awakened something that was deliberately hidden. Superstitious nonsense, Vexcar dismissed the concern. They are simply more resilient than we anticipated. Increase the invasion force by 50%. We will crush them with overwhelming numbers. What the Kralaxian admiral didn't know was that human scout ships were already shadowing his fleet, using stealth technology that had been impossible for humans to create just weeks earlier. Every detail of the Kralaxian approach was being transmitted to Harmony Colony and Earth. The first clash came at the edge of the Harmony system. A small group of human ships led by Captain Olivia Clark engaged the front section of the Kralaxian fleet. By all logical assessments, the humans should have been quickly overwhelmed. Instead, they executed complex maneuvers that scattered the tightly formed Kralaxian ships. How are they anticipating our attack patterns? Vexcar demanded as he watched the battle unfold from his command ship. The human vessels seemed to predict Kralaxian tactics before they happened. When the aliens adjusted their approach, the humans had already countered it. On the surface of Harmony Colony, Jack received updates from the space battle. Captain Clark is drawing them into the asteroid field, he told Lisa. Just as we planned. Lisa nodded. The ground teams are in position. If any of their ships make it through, we're ready. The main Kralaxian fleet pushed forward, confident that their superior numbers would prevail. They didn't understand that they were facing an enemy designed by the precursors to be unbeatable in war, an enemy that had chosen peace for millennia, but was now fully awakened to its true nature. The battle for Harmony Colony raged for hours. The human fleet, though outnumbered, fought with impossible coordination. On the surface, colonists who weeks earlier had been farmers and teachers now operated defensive systems with veteran skill. When Kralaxian dropships managed to break through and land troops, they found themselves facing humans who moved faster than should be possible, who anticipated their every move, who understood their technology well enough to turn it against them. By the time Admiral Vexkar ordered a retreat, his invasion force had been decimated. His remaining ships limped away from human space, carrying with them the terrifying news that humanity was not what they had appeared to be. As Jack watched the Kralaxian fleet retreat from Harmony's skies, he knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had awakened to its true nature, and the galaxy would never be the same. News of humanity's victory over the Kralaxian fleet spread quickly across the galaxy. Species that had viewed humans as minor players in galactic politics now watched with growing alarm as reports described the transformation of a peaceful trading species into formidable warriors. 1 month after the Battle of Harmony Colony, a delegation from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth. Their ship, an impressive diplomatic vessel, entered orbit with extreme caution. "They're scanning us extensively," Susan Hayes noted as she stood in Earth's orbital command center. Now fully awakened, she had become the primary strategic advisor to Earth's unified government. General Miller nodded. "They're afraid, and they should be." The council representatives requested a meeting on neutral ground, a space station at the edge of the solar system. Earth sent a small delegation led by Dr. Alan West, whose discoveries on Mars had revealed humanity's true history. The council chamber was tense as representatives from 12 major galactic species gathered. The head counselor, an ancient being from the Zreth species, spoke first. "We come seeking explanations and assurances," the Zreth said, its translucent skin pulsing with light patterns. "Reports from the Kralaxian border describe humans displaying abilities that violate known biological principles for your species." Alan stepped forward. "What you've witnessed is not a violation, but a return. Humanity is remembering what we once were." He displayed holographic evidence from the Mars archives showing ancient humans leading galactic armies, their abilities matching those now emerging across human space. "The records are clear," Alan explained. "Humans were engineered as warriors by the precursors. After a devastating war, our ancestors chose to lock away those abilities and live in peace. A peace you have now abandoned," accused the Velian representative, a tall insectoid being. "A peace that was broken when the Kralaxians attacked our colonies without provocation," Alan countered calmly. "The genetic lockdown included a failsafe, and an existential threat would reawaken our warrior abilities." The council chamber erupted in alarmed discussion. The Zreth raised its appendages for silence. "If what you say is true, then humanity represents a grave threat to galactic stability. We must demand that you contain this reversion to barbarism." Meanwhile, in deep space, Captain Olivia Clark led a scouting mission to the borders of human territory. Her small fleet of ships, now crewed by fully awakened humans, moved with precision through the darkness. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy signatures ahead," her science officer reported. Olivia felt a strange resonance in her mind, as if something ancient was calling to her. "Move in closer, but maintain stealth protocols." What they discovered stunned them all. Massive mechanical structures floating at the edge of human space. The devices were clearly of human design, but far more advanced than anything in current human technology. "They're beacons," Olivia realized as knowledge unlocked in her mind. "Warning beacons, placed here by our ancestors thousands of years ago." Her science officer scanned the devices. "They've been dormant for millennia, but they're activating now, sending out signals." "Warning signals," Olivia finished, "telling the galaxy that the war deities have awakened." Back on Harmony Colony, Jack Morrison and Lisa Rodriguez faced a new challenge. A Kralaxian diplomatic vessel had entered the system under a flag of truce, requesting urgent talks. "They want to surrender?" Lisa asked in disbelief as they prepared for the meeting. Jack shook his head. "I think they want to make sure we don't come after them next." The Kralaxian envoy, a high-ranking noble named Draktar, entered the colony's meeting hall with visible fear. His species' typical arrogance was nowhere to be seen. "The Kralaxian Empire requests immediate peace negotiations," he announced without preamble. "We had no knowledge of humanity's true nature when we initiated hostilities." "You mean you didn't know what would happen if you kicked in the temple door?" Lisa said coldly. Draktar's skin paled. "There are stories, ancient legends about a species that slept. We never connected those tales to humans." Jack leaned forward. "Those weren't legends. They were warnings your ancestors should have heeded. On Earth, Susan Hayes made an important discovery while studying the ancient texts recovered from hidden vaults beneath military bases. The genetic lockdown hadn't just been a choice, it had been a promise. "Look at this," she told Dr. Nathan Powell, showing him a treaty document signed thousands of years ago. "Our ancestors promised the galaxy they would suppress their warrior, nature, as long as humanity was left in peace." Nathan studied the document carefully. A self-imposed containment in exchange for the trust of other species. We weren't just sleeping. We were keeping our word. "Until someone broke faith by attacking us," Susan added quietly. The implications were profound. Humanity hadn't just been peaceful by nature. They had chosen restraint, despite possessing overwhelming power. The question now was whether they could find that restraint again, or if the awakening had changed them forever. Earth's unified government was showing signs of fracture. Some regions embraced the awakening, pouring resources into military development and speaking of expanded human influence. Others feared what they were becoming and advocated for finding a way to restore the genetic lockdown. "We can't go back to what we were," argued the North American representative during a heated council session. "Nor should we. We have the right to defend ourselves." "But where does it end?" countered the African Union leader. "The knowledge flowing through our minds isn't just about defense. There are weapons technologies, conquest strategies. Are we to become the terror our ancestors chose to lock away?" The debate raged across human space. On colony worlds like Harmony, where people had fought for survival, there was little desire to relinquish their new abilities. On Earth, where the threat had not been directly felt, fear of their changing nature was stronger. As diplomatic missions led by Dr. Alan West attempted to reassure the Galactic Council that awakened humanity wouldn't repeat the conquests of the ancient past, Jack Morrison and Lisa Rodriguez established training protocols to help awakened humans control their combat instincts. "The power isn't the problem," Jack told a group of colonists who were struggling with their new abilities. "It's how we choose to use it." Lisa demonstrated techniques for channeling the combat reflexes that now came naturally to all of them. "Our ancestors were more than warriors. They were protectors. That's the part of our heritage we need to remember." In the Kralaxian home system, Admiral Vexkar faced execution for his failure. Before his death, he sent one final message to his Emperor. The humans were hiding their true nature, his message stated. "And now that they have awakened, I fear we have doomed our empire by provoking them. The ancient texts in our most sacred vaults speak of them, the sleeping gods of war who must never be disturbed. We ignored those warnings at our peril." Urthe, Galactic Council, meanwhile, moved from threats to cautious diplomacy. The evidence presented by Dr. West made it clear that pushing humanity now could trigger an even more complete awakening, something no species wanted to risk. As Jack looked out over the rebuilt sections of Harmony Colony, he wondered what the future held for his transformed species. They had successfully defended themselves, but at what cost to their identity? Were they still the peaceful explorers and traders they had chosen to be for centuries, or had they become something else entirely? The answer, he suspected, would determine the fate of the entire galaxy. 6 months after the Kralaxian attacks, humanity existed in a transformed state. The changes that had begun as a response to threat had settled into something permanent. Across human space, people lived with enhanced bodies and minds, their dormant, warrior genetics now fully expressed. Jack Morrison stood on a hill overlooking the new training grounds outside Harmony Colony. Young colonists practiced combat maneuvers with fluid grace that would have been impossible before the awakening. In the distance, a newly constructed defense center gleamed in the morning sun. Hard to believe this was all farmland half a year ago, Lisa Rodriguez said as she joined him. She carried herself differently now, confident, powerful, a natural leader who had fully embraced her awakened abilities. Sometimes I still expect to wake up and find myself back on patrol duty, Jack admitted. Lisa smiled. Too late for that, we can't go back to sleep. Together they had established the Harmony Academy, where awakened humans learned to control their combat instincts and use them defensively. It had become a model for similar training centers across human colonies. The transport from Earth is landing in an hour, Lisa reminded him. Dr. Powell said he has important news. Dr. Nathan Powell had become the leading expert on the biological aspects of humanity's transformation. His research team had made breakthrough after breakthrough, understanding the changes in human DNA. When his ship landed, Nathan looked tired but excited. Jack and Lisa escorted him to the colony's command center. I've confirmed what we suspected, Nathan said once they were seated. The current awakening is only partial. We haven't yet reached the apex form that made humans the dominant force in the ancient galaxy. Jack frowned. You mean we could become even more powerful? Exactly. Nathan nodded. The genetic lockdown had multiple layers. The Kralaxian threat triggered the first stage, enhanced physical abilities, combat instincts, tactical knowledge. But the deepest abilities remained dormant. What kind of abilities? Lisa asked. Nathan hesitated. Based on the Mars archives, fully awakened humans could manipulate energy fields, communicate instantly across vast distances, even transfer consciousness between bodies. They were nearly unstoppable. And these abilities could still emerge? Jack asked. Only in response to a greater threat, Nathan replied. Our ancestors built the failsafe to release only the level of power needed to ensure survival. On Earth, Commander Susan Hayes prepared for the most important diplomatic meeting in recent human history. The Kralaxian Emperor himself had requested to come to Earth to formalize a peace treaty. This is unprecedented, General Miller said as they reviewed security protocols. No Kralaxian Emperor has ever left their home system. Fear is a powerful motivator, Susan replied. The Emperor's ship arrived with minimal escort, a sign of trust or perhaps fear. The Kralaxian ruler was imposing even for his species, standing nearly 9 feet tall with the distinctive crimson markings of the imperial bloodline. The Kralaxian Empire offers formal apologies for the unprovoked attacks on human colonies, the Emperor stated during the public ceremony. We seek lasting peace between our peoples. What wasn't made public was the warning the Emperor delivered in private. Susan listened with growing concern as the Kralaxian ruler shared intelligence gathered from the far reaches of the galaxy. Another, power has noticed humanity's reawakening, he explained. They moved to eliminate the threat before you fully materialize. What power? Susan asked. We know them only as the Void Collective, the Emperor said. They are ancient and powerful, and they fear what humanity might become even more than we do. After the Emperor departed, Susan immediately contacted Dr. Alan West on Mars. We need to decode the final part of the archives, she told him. There may be information about this Void Collective. Alan had been working day and night to translate the most complex sections of the Mars records. I've just made a breakthrough, he said. The final chamber contains information about humanity's true purpose. He sent her the translations. Susan read them with growing amazement. This changes everything, she whispered. The records revealed that humanity's war deity status wasn't just about combat prowess. The precursors had engineered humans to be the galaxy's protectors against a recurring threat that emerged from the spaces between stars. Ancient humans had fought this threat, the Void Collective, and driven them back at great cost. The genetic lockdown wasn't just a choice for peace, Susan realized. It was a strategic decision. Our ancestors knew the Void Collective would return someday, but they needed to appear harmless until that moment came. Earth's leadership, previously divided over humanity's path forward, united around this new information. The choice was clear. They needed to complete their awakening and prepare for a threat only their ancestors would recognize. Jack and Lisa received the news with mixed emotions as they stood on the defense platform overlooking Harmony Colony. So, we weren't just war deities, Lisa said. We were guardians. Jack nodded. It makes sense. The knowledge flowing through our minds isn't just about destruction, it's about protection. Below them, ships from former enemy species arrived at the colony's spaceport. The Kralaxians had been the first to seek alliance with awakened humanity, but others quickly followed. Species that had feared humans now sought their protection against the approaching darkness. Do you think we can defeat this Void Collective? Lisa asked. I don't know, Jack admitted, but I understand now why our ancestors left us the ability to awaken. They knew we would be needed again. In orbit above them, the combined human fleet prepared for a new mission. Ships that had been hastily converted for the Kralaxian conflict were being properly upgraded with technologies recovered from ancient vaults across human space. Captain Olivia Clark, now Admiral of the 1st Guardian Fleet, coordinated the massive effort. Her ships would form the first line of defense when the Void Collective arrived. On Mars, Dr. Alan West made one final stunning discovery. In the deepest chamber of the ancient archive, he found stasis pods containing fully awakened human warriors from the previous conflict, left as a final contingency by their ancestors. They're still alive, he whispered in awe as he studied the readouts. They've been waiting all this time. As the first ships of the Void Collective were detected at the edge of human space, Alan activated the release sequence. The ancient warriors would awaken to find their descendants transformed, ready to stand with them against the coming threat. Jack Morrison stood on the observation deck of Harmony's main defense tower, watching as ships from across the galaxy gathered in orbit. Former enemies, now allies, united by the knowledge that something worse approached. Who would have thought, he said to Lisa as she joined him, that when the Kralaxians kicked in our temple door, they were actually saving the galaxy? Lisa smiled. They woke the war deities, but they also reminded us what we were meant to be, not conquerors, but protectors. Above them, the stars seemed to dim slightly as the first wave of the Void Collective approached. The sleeping war deities of humanity were fully awake now and ready to fulfill their ancient purpose.